Alright, welcome back to another No Limits video. Probably about time we actually did some work on the dual cab, so I haven't filmed or put anything up on that for a little while. So yeah, just to be perfectly honest, I'm in the right mood for it at the moment. So I'll show you what's been going on with it anyway. Alright, so this is what I've been up to with it. I've sanded down both doors on this side. People saw earlier photos of this thing on Instagram. I reckon it had a really nice patina to it. It didn't. It had multiple layers of paint that were coming off. It had a couple of repairs on these doors, which I'm going to redo. There's actually a big dent here. Some marks in the front of this door. I believe this car was sideswiped at some point in its life. They're pretty good. It's close enough that I can't get them back out any better. I've also made a piece to go over the floor there to fit the cruiser gearbox under the Jeep floor. Need a little bit of bodywork on this rear corner where it's been grafted together. Same around the back there. But today what I thought I'd do, just because I said I'm in the mood for it, with fitting this big V8 turbo diesel in here, a bit of the layout's different to how Jeep would have had it originally, obviously. So originally, Jeep had the battery sitting over that side. So it takes the battery sits over that right hand front corner. This is all my Toyota wiring loom here. And as you can see, it's all wired to have the battery sitting here. And I need to change these big fuse boxes and things as well. I can move that out of the way. But this particular inner guard does not have a place to put a battery like the guard on that side. So the inner guard is also in pretty bad shape, where it's had, I think it had gas on it, and I dare say the big gas regulator would have been bolted here, and it's fatigued the top of the guard. And as I said, this card been sideswiped, so the bottom of this inner guard's actually all bent. So it's pretty hard to tell, but down in here the guard's actually in pretty bad shape. So what I think I'm going to do, well, what I'm going to do, is we'll take the grill off, take this guard off, get this inner guard out, and I have another inner guard. So we'll get all this apart and then I'll show you the inner guard. So I've got my original inner guard out. Obviously mudguard's off, pulled the door off. I've got to fix a patch on the bottom of the mudguard anyway. So now will seem like the right time to do it. And this is the guard that we're going to be putting on, the inner guard that we're going to be putting on. This guard at some point in its life had a hole cut in it for a battery. I do need to extend this out to fit a N70 style battery, which is what's required to crank this motor over. But before I can just throw this inner guard in and start working out my battery size, I need to clear this shock tower, because the Jeep was never designed to have that. On this inner guard, let's see, I actually just cut up here with a grinder and along there and bent it out to clear it. This guard has a lot more shape in it here, so I think what I'm going to do is I will just cut a piece out that clears that somewhere around there, and we'll make a patch panel that goes out and around it and mould it back into the inner guard to just try and have a real OE look. Not that our Australian Jeeps were really concerned about the OE look. When you look at that, this was to clear our heater box. So when they converted these cars from left to right hand drive, they took the heater box from the left hand side, put it in this side, and it fouled on the inner guard pretty severely. So anyway, we'll get this piece cut and we'll make a piece up to fit around it. Righto, that's the replacement inner guard. You can already tell this guard's better. It lines up with these bolt holes, which the old guard didn't. Pretty good. I've got to trim a little bit more out of here, just to really get that curve in it to cover that shock. But overall, that inner guard fits really well. It's not bolted in, so down here all pull tight, things like that. Next big thing I've got to look at is this battery tray, because I believe this was done to be a second battery. There's a little bit of repair there as well. So yeah, this would have been done originally as just a second battery. You would have had, you know, your regular, for Australia it would have been your normal Falcon Holden size battery, which is about 10-inch battery. But to get the cranking amps to start this big girl, I'm going to need a 12-inch battery. So essentially got to extend this out another sort of 2-3 inches, 50mm in Australian. So I've got a spare battery. We'll grab the battery and we'll just see how much extra room I need. So this is about the size battery that we're going to be using. As you can see, it's a little bit over 300mm long, 305. And our hole is about 270. So what I want to do is bring it out to about 310. So we'll cut a section out of the guard. We'll cut this tray. Still deciding whether I actually take that entire tray out, because I've got to cut it down here and move it, make a piece to go in the bottom there. It's very crudely done to start with. They've actually cut the inner guard and just bent it down, so I said we might cut that entirely out and start again. But yeah, I'll decide the best plan of attack on this one. Righto, so after a bit of deliberation I ended up cutting the entire box out. It's over on the floor. I figured the work required to actually extend that one is, it's easier just to build a new one. So I've made up a fairly crude template out of a Coke box, because it's just nice cardboard. So it slips in the hole there reasonably well. It still needs a little bit of trimming, but that's enough that I can cut one out and fold it up. So with that done, alright. So with my template, I've marked out my piece of steel. So I'll cut this and fold it and then trim the hole to make it fit properly. Alright, got my piece cut out, marked my lines here. I'm going to try, I don't know if it'll work, I'm going to try and fold that section there over, back on itself, just to give it a bit more strength in that top edge, because I'll end up putting a hole here to put a battery tie down. And then, yeah, 90-degree fold there and fold that back the other way. So I've got my homemade bender. I didn't make this. Actually, my dad bought this at a clearance sale many years ago. So it does the job. It's not the most finest bender out there, but it does the job. So we'll stick this bit in there and see what we can manage. A little too far, it's okay. A little bit more. Alright, this is our last fold. Oh, actually, definitely not the most accurate bender. Just the amount of warp I can get in it. Righto, it's got it pretty close. Might need to straighten that one out a little bit, fiddle with this edge a little bit. End up knocking this return over with a hammer. But it should do what I'm after. We'll try it in the car. Righto, it's got the tray sitting in there. Still gotta do a little bit more trimming. Let it sit down properly in that corner, but I think it still has to come. Oh, not so much this way. So just to really get it to sit down in those corners, get rid of that gap. So knock a little bit out of there. That front side. And mainly that back one. It should be pretty right. But yeah. Then we just got to make up some end pieces for it. And the battery will be right to slip in there. So I'll clean this up a bit more and see if I can get it to sit right down how it's supposed to. Righto, I've got the gap better. Got a couple little zaps here in the corner. I'm just going to tap that inner guard up to meet it. Same as I've zapped him along the top. So there was actually a piece here from the last battery tray, so I've cut that out. Yeah, see, spotted this in along the top. That one I've already spotted in. I'm going to just grind it down to meet the inner guard. This side we still have to zap him in, but as you can see it's just a piece of 2mm steel. Yeah, cardboard template to get the shape, and then mark it, cut it out, and it's just go in there like that. So I'll weld these, I'll pull the inner guard back off and I'll actually weld it up from the outside all around and do the same thing. I'll grind all this to match the shape of the inner guard. I will get stuck into him. Alright, so I got a little bit carried away and yeah, just went ahead and finished the whole thing without actually filming too much. So yeah, the end result is it's all in there. Put some light on the subject. So that's it in. We've left the front here open just to let water out of it basically. Still need to put a couple of holes in to put a battery tie down on it. But yeah, welded in, smoothed it all over. Not super happy with this area, but I'll work something out with that as we go. And I've also done this section down here to give me a bit more room around that front shock mount. So yeah, that little job is all done and right to be ticked off the list, which doesn't seem to be getting any shorter. Alright, so part of the reason I got carried away with this one is, so yeah, the big green Jeep, it's decided that it's not getting enough attention, so it's had a little meltdown and decided I need to, so that I've got to do some work on it, because I kind of need that ute a little bit more urgently than I do need this ute. So yeah, we'll about to start a new video on it, and we'll hook in and pull it apart and see what's going wrong and work out what we can come up with to get it back up and operational and on the road. So stay tuned for that one. Should be good. But yeah, if you want to see what's, keep up to date with it, hit the subscribe button. It's there, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, hit the subscribe. Yeah, go back and watch some other videos. Getting pretty close to 1,000 subscribers, which would be awesome to reach. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Which I know there's a lot of you, because it tells me there's 98% of you that aren't subscribed that are watching. So anyway, well, we'll see you in the next one.